The question that changed everything. My wife whispered those words beside me in the dark. My ex wants me back. I turned toward her. For a few seconds, I thought I'd heard her wrong. Then she looked directly into my eyes and whispered, "Give me a reason to choose you." That sentence destroyed the silence of our bedroom. But what happened next is something I still can't believe I did. My name is Daniel. I had been married to Sarah for 6 years. We weren't perfect, but I honestly believed we were happy. We had a beautiful home, stable jobs, and a life most people would consider peaceful. But for the past few weeks, Sarah had been different. She checked her phone constantly. She started staying late at work, and whenever I walked into the room, she'd quickly turn her screen off. I noticed everything. I just didn't confront her because I believe marriage meant trusting the person you loved. That night, however, she finally broke the silence. My ex contacted me. I sat up. "Ryan?" She nodded. Ryan was the man she dated before me, the one she'd always described as a mistake from her past. "What does he want?" Sarah looked down. "He wants me back." I waited for her to laugh. She didn't. Instead, she moved closer and whispered, "He says he never stopped loving me." I felt something inside my chest tighten. Then she said the words that hurt even more. "Daniel, give me one reason to choose you." I stared at her. "One reason?" She nodded. "I don't know what I'm supposed to feel anymore." I could have shouted. I could have demanded to see her phone. I could have told her to leave. But instead, I asked one question. "Do you want to be with him?" Sarah looked at me. "I don't know." That answer hurt more than a yes. I got out of bed. She immediately asked, "Where are you going?" "To get some air." I walked into the kitchen and stood there alone. My hands were shaking. But then I noticed something on the counter. Sarah's phone. She had left it behind. I didn't want to touch it. I really didn't. Then the screen lit up. One message appeared. "Ryan. Did you tell him yet?" My heart stopped. A second message appeared. "Ryan. Remember what we agreed." I stared at those words. What we agreed. What agreement? I picked up the phone. But before I could unlock it, Sarah walked into the kitchen. She saw the phone in my hand. Her face immediately changed. "Daniel." I put the phone back on the counter. I didn't read anything. She looked relieved, and that told me something. She had been hiding more than just a conversation. I walked past her. "I'm going to sleep." She grabbed my arm. "Please don't leave me alone tonight." I looked at her. "You're the one who just asked me for a reason to choose you." She released my arm. I went back into the bedroom, but I didn't sleep. At 2:13 in the morning, Sarah's phone lit up again. This time, I saw the message before she did. "Ryan. Tomorrow night, same place, bring the documents." Documents? What documents? And why was Ryan meeting my wife in secret? I quietly reached for my own phone. Then I remembered something. 3 days earlier, my father had called me. He had warned me, "Daniel, if anyone asks you to sign anything connected to the family company, don't." I hadn't understood why. Now I suddenly did. I opened my father's old email archive. There was one message I had never noticed. It was sent 6 months before his death. The subject line was, "Ryan, do not trust him." I stared at the screen. Then I opened the email. There was only one sentence. "If Sarah ever contacts Ryan again, check the house safe." I froze because I knew exactly what was inside that safe. And suddenly, my wife's question didn't sound like a marriage problem anymore. It sounded like the beginning of a trap, and I was beginning to wonder who the trap was really meant for. The safe. At 2:20 a.m., I was standing in front of the old safe in my father's study. I had never opened it since his funeral. The combination was my birthday. My hand shook as I entered the numbers. Click. The door opened. Inside was a folder, a small USB drive, and one handwritten note. The note had only 4 words. "Trust no one, especially Sarah." I stared at it. My wife, the woman sleeping in the next room, the woman who had just asked me for a reason to choose her. I opened the folder. There were bank statements, property documents, and photographs. Then I saw Ryan. He wasn't alone. He was standing beside Sarah, but the photograph wasn't recent. It had been taken 2 years before Ryan supposedly contacted her again. My stomach dropped. They had been seeing each other long before I knew anything. I kept turning the pages. Then I found something even worse. A document transferring part of my father's company into an account I didn't recognize. The beneficiary name was Sarah Miller. I heard footsteps behind me. I quickly closed the folder. Sarah was standing in the doorway. She looked exhausted. "What are you doing?" I looked at her. "What are you doing, Sarah?" She didn't answer. I held up the folder. "Why is your name on my father's documents?" Her face went completely white. "Daniel, tell me the truth." She started crying. I was going to. "When?" She looked down. "Tomorrow." "Tomorrow?" "Yes." "After you met Ryan." She nodded. I felt betrayed all over again. "You weren't meeting him because he wanted you back." Sarah shook her head. "No." "Then why?" She wiped her tears. "Because he has something that belongs to you." I stared at her. "What?" "The original ownership papers for your father's company." I couldn't believe it. My father told me the papers were in the safe. They weren't. Sarah stepped closer. "Your father moved them before he died." "Where?" "Ryan has them." I laughed bitterly. "So you've been working with my ex?" "He isn't my ex." She paused. "He's been pretending to be." I froze. "What?" Sarah looked directly at me. "Ryan and I haven't been together." "Then what has this been?" She took a deep breath. "An investigation." I didn't know whether to believe her. She continued. "Ryan discovered that someone had been stealing money from your father's company, and he thinks it's someone close to you." I looked at the documents. "Who?" Sarah didn't answer. Instead, she whispered, "Your father's former accountant." "Michael?" She nodded. My heart sank. Michael had worked for my father for 15 years. He was practically family. Then Sarah's phone buzzed. She looked at the screen. Ryan had sent another message. "He knows. Bring Daniel to the warehouse tomorrow." I looked at Sarah. "Why does he want me there?" She hesitated. Then she said, "Because the person who stole your father's money isn't Michael." "Then who?" Sarah's eyes filled with tears. "I don't know." A second message appeared on her phone. This one was from an unknown number. "Tell Daniel the truth before Ryan does." I looked at Sarah. "Who sent that?" She shook her head. "I don't know." Then the message disappeared. Deleted, but I'd already seen it. I picked up the USB drive from the safe. "What is this?" Sarah stared at it. "I've never seen that before." I connected it to my laptop. One folder appeared. Inside was a single video. I pressed play. My father's face appeared on the screen. He looked older, tired, and afraid. Then he said something that made my entire body go cold. "Daniel, if you're watching this, your wife isn't the person you should be afraid of." The video suddenly cut to black. Sarah stared at me. I stared at her. And for the first time that night, I wondered if I'd been blaming the wrong person all along. The warehouse. The next evening, Sarah and I drove to the warehouse together. Neither of us spoke. I still didn't completely trust her, but after seeing my father's video, I knew one thing. Someone had been manipulating both of us. When we arrived, Ryan was already waiting. He looked at Sarah, then at me. "You came?" I stepped out of the car. "You asked for me." Ryan nodded. "I need you to see something." He opened the warehouse door. Inside was a table covered with documents, bank statements, property records, photographs, and one red folder. Ryan pushed it toward me. "Your father's company lost almost $3 million. I opened the folder. Every transfer led to the same account, but the account wasn't Ryan's, it wasn't Sarah's, it belonged to Michael, my father's former accountant. I looked at Ryan. So my father was right. Ryan shook his head. "Not completely." "What does that mean?" Ryan placed another photograph on the table. It showed Michael meeting someone outside a bank. I looked closer. The person standing beside him was wearing a black coat. Their face was hidden. Then Ryan said, "We followed Michael for 6 months. And we discovered he wasn't working alone. Who was helping him?" Ryan looked at Sarah. She slowly shook her head. "I don't know." Ryan turned back to me. "We thought it was you." I stared at him. "Me?" You were the heir. You had access to everything. And someone wanted you blamed when the money disappeared. My mind raced. Then I remembered the strange documents I'd found in the safe, the documents with Sarah's name. Why was Sarah listed as the beneficiary? Ryan answered quietly. Because Michael used her identity. Sarah's eyes filled with tears. He ruined my life without me knowing. I looked at her. Suddenly, everything made sense. The secret meetings, the hidden messages, the fear in her eyes. She hadn't been choosing Ryan over me. She had been trying to uncover the person destroying my family. Then Ryan pulled out one final photograph. This is the person we've been looking for. He placed it on the table. I looked down. My heart stopped. It was Michael, but he wasn't meeting a stranger. He was meeting someone I knew, someone I'd trusted my entire life. My uncle, David. I stepped back. No, Ryan nodded. Your uncle controlled the company while your father was sick. He had access to every account, Sarah whispered, and he knew exactly where the original ownership papers were. I suddenly remembered my father's warning. Trust no one. Then my phone rang. Michael, I answered. His voice was shaking. Daniel, don't go home. Why? Because David knows you found out. I looked at Sarah, then Ryan. Where are you? Michael whispered, I'm outside your house. I froze. Why? Because David is already inside. The call ended. For a moment, nobody moved. Then Sarah grabbed my arm. We have to go. I looked at Ryan. He nodded. We rushed toward the car, but before I opened the door, I received a message. It was from my uncle David. You finally opened your father's safe. A second message followed. Now come home. Then one final message appeared. Bring Sarah. I stared at the screen because suddenly I understood why David wanted Sarah there. He wasn't afraid of what she knew. He was afraid of what she had, and whatever it was could destroy him. The truth. We drove back to my house. Ryan stayed outside while Sarah and I went in. The lights were off. David, I called. No answer. Then a light came on in the study. My uncle David was sitting behind my father's desk, and beside him was Michael. David smiled. You finally found the truth? I stepped forward. You stole my father's money. David shook his head. Your father stole it first. What? He was going to expose me? So I stopped him. Sarah suddenly stepped forward. You didn't stop him. You destroyed him. David looked at her. You have no idea what you're talking about. Sarah pulled a small USB drive from her purse. I think I do. David's smile disappeared. Sarah continued. I recorded every conversation, every payment, every instruction you gave Michael. David stood up. You wouldn't. Sarah looked at me. I was trying to protect you. Then she handed me the drive. I plugged it into the laptop. The recordings were all there. David's voice, Michael's voice, and proof that they had stolen millions from my father's company. But there was one recording that shocked me most. David was talking about Sarah. He said, make Daniel believe she's cheating. If he divorces her, she'll have no reason to investigate. I looked at Sarah. She started crying. That was the moment I understood everything. Her strange behavior, the messages, Ryan, the secret meetings. She had been trying to uncover the truth while David was trying to make me hate her. I walked toward Sarah. I thought you were leaving me. She shook her head. I was trying to save our marriage. I took her hand. I should have listened. She smiled through her tears. Then don't let me go now. I pulled her into a hug. Behind us, Ryan quietly walked away. Before leaving, he looked at me. Take care of her. I nodded. I will. The police arrived minutes later. David and Michael were arrested. The company was saved. My father's name was cleared. And Sarah and I finally had the conversation we'd avoided for months. She looked at me. I should never have asked you to compete with Ryan. I smiled. No. You should have just told me the truth. She nodded. I know. Then she whispered, I choose you. This time, I didn't need a reason. I already knew. Months later, our marriage was stronger than it had ever been. Not because we forgot what happened, but because we finally learned something important. Love isn't about never having secrets. It's about having the courage to tell the truth before those secrets destroy everything. If this story kept you watching until the end, like the video, subscribe to the channel, and stay with us for the next story. Because sometimes the person you think is betraying you is actually the person fighting hardest to protect you. Everyone watches my video but not like and subscribe. Please like and subscribe. Love you all.